Today's going to be a very important episode. I have a special interview with one of the former Green Berets, the guy who was right there recovering bodies out of the water with the flooding in Texas. I mean, was this not one of the most shocking experiences? I mean, it throws you into the realm of, as a grandparent, as a parent, what is more devastating than the thought of your little vulnerable child caught in a flood and no parent there to rescue them? But yet the heroism of the camp counselors, the so many that gave their lives, and fathers that gave their lives. And one story about a lady who literally said, "Throw me your baby." So she threw the baby so you could catch her so that the baby could be rescued. And one young girl is like 8 or 9 years old or 10 years old, who literally laid down on the mattress. The mattress floated down for like 3 miles down the flood, and she was retrieved. So there are hundreds of stories that are the miraculous stories, you could say, and then there's the tragic stories, the ones that didn't survive, and we can only pray easily with compassion for those families that there would be this supernatural anesthesia of God that would hold them together. And all I can say is I want to cover the story. I want to get right into it today. And what one thing is the theme. For, I mean, everything was going well in the news cycle, right? You know, it looks like we got Iran's working out, and then the Supreme Court decision comes out supporting Trump against crazy injunctions, and he gets the bill through, and then boom, that. You have to prepare yourself in a day when information is at your fingertip and the whole world has an eyeball monitoring things. You have to be, I really believe in the idea of a Sabbath. Like the Jewish people, God is right. It seems silly to say it. I think I agree with God on this. But the idea, if you go to Israel, if you go to people that discipline themselves, the Sabbath is like that it's that whole hour a day of being set apart to be with God, so that you've got peace of mind and you cut off all technology in the Jewish community. You don't go to your phone, you don't watch TV. You're just with your family or with nature or with God, with yourself, with each other, and it creates kind of a psychological buffer for yourself to survive. That's the reason why I tell people all the time. Financial stress, financial worry, financial anxiety is a perpetual thing that'll wear on you. But if you had put your money into gold 2 years ago, where else would you have seen a 70% increase in value? In the last year, where else would you have seen a 40% increase in value? And hear me on this. Do you think the world is going to stay at a state of millennial peace? Or how about the last days, man? I just feel like God gave us a window, and we're working in a window of time. But even in that window, gold is going up because economics is totally like that flood. You do not know when something like that happens, but you can be prepared for it. Go to lancewallnau.com/gold. I'm going to just tell you this once real quick. Call the Birch people I work with. They'll answer your questions. They'll explain to you the strategy. And it's not like, don't put your money into like paper gold stuff. You want the real deal. You want gold that's tangible, silver that's tangible, because that's the only thing that matters. I'm just telling you my own take on this. You want to go with the real subject. Somebody like Jesse Duplantis says, I like to be able to bite into what I invest in. So go to lancewallnau.com/gold and have that peace of mind. And we're going to go into today's broadcast. I want to give you guys a special report from Dr. Pete Chambers. He's a graduate of Special Forces, that's a Green Beret. He normally stays off the radar, but got social media presence because he became a key source as a whistleblower testifying in the Liberty Council's case with the SEALs versus the Department of Defense. Remember when they got bumped off because of, I guess, the vaccine? And so you've played already a pretty key role in stepping in the gap and having to go public. Welcome to the Lance Wallnau Show. Now you're going to be known by my 100,000 people. So thanks for doing this. Your truck is 100 degrees. You got helicopters flying around. So I'm sorry you're having to do this under such bad circumstances, but you're heading up Remnant Ministry in Central Texas, and you're playing a key role in body recovery, community cleanup, critical supply distribution. You're right there on the site of this horrific flood. I guess my first question for you is, when you stepped into that flood zone, what was the most striking thing you saw? And did you see, you're a Christian, did you see the hand of God in this? Because there's a whole ton of prayer going up. Give us your perspective.
Sure, yeah. The first impression into the flood zone for me was I was 2 hours away. This was really close to home. It was still, morning was cresting. I'm driving down, literally praying, thinking I've only got two guys and my working dog with me, and literally got on the phone. And the hand of God really would be the divine appointments that took place as people started calling me when I was putting out the all call. So I have a really large presence online with the Remnant Ministry TX, right? That's my team. And that stands for Texas. And we got down to Kerrville literally 2 hours later, and along the Guadalupe corridor, which is hundreds of miles, really. It goes all the way to the Gulf of Mexico from that part of Texas. And we were able to get on the ground. I was there at North Carolina with my team. We do humanitarian efforts. We're also an association of churches, ministries, and we do counter human trafficking. But in this case, the dangers that we saw were from the sudden crest. I mean, literally in some places up to 40 feet crests of river along places that were camped out during the 4th of July weekend. That's where the problem set really for human toll took place. Now, many people were rescued immediately in the rescue phase, the first phase. The second phase is a recovery phase. And unfortunately, that's where we're at now. So we have people in the boats on the water. I'm not in the military anymore. I got out a couple of years ago. But, life is ministry and ministry is life. And so my hands are put to work now differently. I'm not carrying a rifle anymore, but, the good book and a bunch of hands that know what they're doing. And these are all special operators that have lived in that world of chaos. So we're doing the best we can.
Well, for those of us that owe a debt to folks like you, I'm always curious, how has God used your military training to prepare you for this? Because I just believe God uses our vocation and then sanctifies it for his purposes. And you fit that matrix perfectly. So how do you see the hand of God preparing you for this?
Well, it's the Esther moment, a moment such as this. It's all those years of the wave tops, the troughs of pain, of sadness, the moments of victory, the consolation that you receive, not so much from your own accolades, but really your identity in Christ. And that's really where our team focuses. We very much have adopted that as a center focus. It allows us to take the troughs a little easier, and then to keep the egos in checks on the heights, on the peaks. And so that's where we go. So my identity in Christ is as a centurion. If you tell me it, Lord, if it's written in red or it's written anywhere in the Bible, I believe it. And that's what I do. And I execute that with my team. And everybody's identity is different, as God sees you, nothing more, nothing less. So that's where I focus.
All right. So what's happening right now with the recovery process? This is pretty much the rains have stopped. Is that true? And the flooding stopped. So now you're really looking to identify bodies, I suppose. That's the grim reality.
Yeah, we have a typical July day for Texas right now in the hundreds, and it varies. This area is so large because there was about 16 hours of clouds over us that were torrential downpour that hit us. So when we had that happen, there were outlying areas. So now we're expanding the searches, if you will, out to outlying areas. The initial response was right there in Kerrville, Ingram. That's one of the spots. Actually, I was right there where that vehicle is. That footage is from Lara Logan. I was there with her. Yeah, that spot I know it well. So that as we're walking and we're going along, we identify these spots, we tag them, and then we go in with dogs. We make sure, is there a person in there that's either still alive, trapped? But in this stage right now, unfortunately, we're pulling out just bodies. But people want to have that closure. Families want that closure. They're deserving of that. They are worth it. And so that's what we're doing. And there are those people that were in the water there. That's Heroes for Humanities, my buddies that are Marine recon guys. They're in the water right now. I'm talking to them literally just before you and I got on. So now my job right now is the command and control of the civilian response. The state brought in theirs, but they are much more limited in the fact that they don't have as many numbers as civilians do. So we have professionals that come in from all over the country. Louisiana, the Cajun Navy's here. I mean, we're meeting with the same people we met in North Carolina, and this response is strong. It's Texas strong.
Well, so, and this is probably the unsung story because we don't get it in the media world, but the volunteerism and the number of great people that are motivated to show up, I mean, they're seldom talked about, but How large, when you talk about a citizen response, how many are you talking about that are coming in to help?
Good question. It's in the thousands right now. We started out with 3 of us on the ground first, just a couple hours after, and then we started making calls, and that's what I do. That's what Green Berets do, right? We're quiet professionals. We don't talk about it. There's very few books about Green Berets, and then we just network that, and then it grows and it grows and it grows, and then I jump into a command and control position versus a reconnaissance position. And so I'll just go into the next position, the hands, the arms, the head, the feet of this thing, the ecclesia, if you will, the body. And that's really how it grows. And we're triune beings. So you know that we got a spirit and a soul and a body. And so we operate in all dimensions.
I love what you're saying. A little background about you. I think people ought to know this. You were forced into retirement for standing on principle during the whole COVID era. So every now and then somebody would just step up and say, no, I'm not cooperating. And that took a lot of personal courage. I mean, everybody gets courage after the battle, but you were in the front lines of it. Just give our audience a little understanding of what happened there with you in that period of your life.
Yeah, I was stationed on the border between Mexico and Texas. I was a task force surgeon and a Green Beret on the border. My job was to take care of roughly about 3,000 soldiers on task force Operation Lone Star. So that was the Texas response to the border. We'll call it invasion. It's not really a mounted invasion in the sense of bayonets, but there's just invasion of people coming across. And, they're good people. There's a lot of good people, but there's also nefarious actors that are in there. So that was my job. And then when I had that many soldiers, that's when the vax mandate came on board. I was a whistleblower. I said, I will not give the troops the shots. I told them it's unlawful. It is. The DOD came out with it recently. Pete Hegseth stated that. So I just basically stood up and said, no, it's not going to happen. And then the general came down and said, it's about the policy, Chambers. It's not about the science. And I knew I had to honestly say that's an unlawful order, sir. And at the time it wasn't, because every order is considered lawful. But I knew that was wrong. And they fired me from the border. I had enough years. I ended up retiring, but I lost some certain pay and allowances and things like that. That's minuscule to some of the troops of what happened to them when they got heart damage and strokes and things like that. So we did fix that problem in the sense that the mandate was dropped. That's what we did. We lobbied enough and got senators like Senator Johnson to step up and help us. And that's where it led to Matt Staver and I meeting and then going into court together in Tampa.
So people understand this. This ended up going into court, and it was the SEALs versus the DOD. And what did that accomplish as a result of that court case?
Great question, sir. So that was the intent of the SEALs was they wanted to have a religious waiver, right? They didn't believe in the products that were in the shot. Right. So it didn't matter to the DOD. They said it doesn't matter. We're not going to adhere to those policies, that even though they were their policies. And so we stood in the gap, essentially Matt Staver and 4 of us as whistleblowers. And I was the first one to testify, and I showed them that, my part of it. I had that many soldiers. I knew who was sick. I knew who was not sick. I knew the ones that were sick were double vaxxed. I didn't have that many on there on the border that were vaxxed. I kept them from giving them to them. And we ended up proving 3 things. The shots were not safe. They were not effective. And we could do it by lesser intrusive means, meaning I could use different things like ivermectin, preventative medicine, hydroxychloroquine, all those things that we now know, right? But at that time, it just took a discernment of, me praying and just saying, Lord, what do I do here? And then I started doing research and just realized I wasn't going to let that happen to my troops.
Did this result in the reinstatement of military personnel that were fired or back pay given to them when they were terminated?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Mr. Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, now came out and said that he will do that. That's taking a while. It's a big army, and we had a lot of people that got out during that time because they wouldn't take it.
Right.
We don't want that to happen at a time when across the world, there's all kinds of conflict. But that's getting improved. I won't say it's completely done. Nothing with big government it happens overnight, but at least they're going the right direction.
Well, I'm kind of curious about your assessment as a military person. I'm always concerned about the bad actors that came across the border, and particularly the Iranian and folks that came from kind of countries that are connected to the Middle East, anti-Israel. Do you believe they got through that border policy with Biden and got released back in? And is that my understanding? That was like 700 were apprehended and then released.
Yeah, and I not only believe it because of the knowledge that I had directly with my eyes as a fact witness to that. I know it. Iranians, Chinese, some other Yemenis, some bad actors from Afghanistan, the Tren de Aragua, which is a gang out of Venezuela in the Aragua region. Those people are definitely bad actors. I was there when 12,500 of Venezuelans came across 2 years ago in Eagle Pass, and they're in the country now. They were transported deeper into the country. That is actually aiding and abetting an enemy force if it's comes down to a tribunal. Which I'm not a lawyer, so I don't focus there, but I understand the law.
Well, I'm going to run 1 minute over here, Chelsea. I want to ask a question for those watching who feel stirred but not sure where they could start. How can they join you in being what you call an ever stalwart for the kingdom? How can they work with you?
Yes, sir. Right now, this takes us a lot of diesel in the tank for these missions to happen. We're using helicopters and things. Sometimes we have to, do a lot more with a lot less, and we can do that. But if people go to theremnantministrytx.org, make sure you put the TX on there. That will get to our website. There's a support page there. Even words of encouragement. We'll take anything. Prayers for sure.
Well, you're the rare kind of guy we love to identify and promote out there with our audience. So we're going to be talking to you some more. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask another interview with you on some of these subjects. But you can get out of that 101-degree car now and go back and do what you do best. Thanks for joining us today on the Lance Wallnau Show. God bless, sir. I'm committed to getting you guys the inside report from the people that are actually doing things. And these short segments are a new model that we're using so that we respect your time. But I want you to like, share, and subscribe so that we can get this message out to more and more people and build this army for the Great Awakening. It's a Great Awakening army we're raising up in all sectors of government, and we're raising them up in communities and in cities and in states. And I really believe that we're in a historic moment of transition in America with Donald Trump as president. And it's the Christian community, I believe, the intercession and the populist base, that's 40% of the MAGA movement, that can provide direction to make this moment we're having in America a breakthrough, a movement that is sustained all the way from here through to the next administration. So do like and subscribe. Leave me your comments. I'll read your comments, and we look forward to seeing you again in our next brief episode. We're entering a period of time that has increased hostility against people of faith. It's a time when Christians are going to be tested on a moral, physical, psychological, and even a financial basis. I'm here to remind you that God is the one who has blessed you thus far, and He will take care of you in the future. You have a divine responsibility, however, to see trouble and prepare yourself. For example, with record inflation eating away at the value of the U.S. dollar, the savings in your retirement account is in danger of slipping away. I recommend diversifying your 401k or IRA out of paper assets and into physical gold. And the best way to do that is with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. And that includes no penalties, there's no taxes when you transfer current retirement funds into Birch Gold. To see how it works, I want you to go to lancewallnau.com/Birch and get your free info kit, and you'll be glad that you did.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.